Professor Dr. Datta, the chairman of the CBER, and the other distinguished delegates, presenters, and friends. I just, at the starting, I have no intention of slowing it down. There's a lot of slow in my title. Definitely, I would like the conference to go on at its pace. And I'm sure that, there is always, we struggle for the time at the end. I would only like my presentation to be played up. It's all emailed to you. If it can be, then I start from my end. Yeah. But carry on. I think this is all, this presentation, I have been working on this in the form of a book for the last 1 year. And this entire thing came about in my initial introduction to this very movement called the slow movement, initiated by Petrini, an Italian who primarily was lobbying against fast food. And then I started knowing the larger dimension of this and how it has grown as a global movement and practically has percolated to all the disciplines in the form of either slow economy, slow religions, all its variants. So it seems to be a very, very interesting concept, the way we look at this. So I probably would start delivering on some of these very key notes. If the slide comes up, otherwise I'd start, and till the time this slide is fixed. Oh yes, it has come up. It has come up already, or else I will start.
Slide, Professor Das. So this is the first one. So let me move.
This particular is in a very book writing format. So please forgive me if you are expecting it to be in a very research format.
No, it's okay.
With a methodology, with a literature review, and of course, then coming down to the main discipline and then how it is adding to the current research. It's a very, very non-fiction and for the consumptions of a very wider audience, not necessarily those who are economists or the managerial professionals or the scholars. So this is also in your WhatsApp, that if you really have difficulty in retrieving from your email. So the first part of these discussions, I would just carry on with some time, where I would like to talk about.
Professor Das, just confirm, is this the slide I'm showing sharing now? Is this the correct one? Is this the correct one, the PowerPoint?
Trying to bring that up.
Can
yeah,
is the something on?
Yeah. This is the one. Yeah.
Okay,
this is the one. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Carry on.
Yeah. So this is the person I've been talking about. You see, the Carlo Petrini, very interesting man, in his 70s now. But you would admire this person for other things that he is doing. And am I audible now? Hello.
You are. That's okay. Yeah. Absolutely fine.
So yeah. So what I've been talking about is the whole idea of the slow movement. And if you look at the starting from a gentleman called the Bethlen's son in his creation, and he primarily presented a paper of his vision of the world some 2.5 decades back in the World Institute of Slowness, where he tried to capture what a slow planet would look like. Slow planet, not to perceive that it's spinning less around the sun, but how it teaches the way the world must conduct itself. Now, if you talk about some of these, which is the slowest animal in this planet? We talk about sloth, we talk about the starfish. There is something called the sea animal, which tops our list of the slowest animal. Now, if you base it on a time-lapse photography, it is estimated that they move about 1 centimeter in an hour. And are we talking about bringing our life to a locomotion that equals to this star-nosed mole or a dugong or another slow creature called banana slug or that American's woodcock? No, not at all. So we talk about the philosophy of the slow movement, which Carl Handro mentions in the praise of the slow, that it is a cultural revolution against the notion that faster is always better. Now, the slow philosophy is not about doing everything at a snail pace. It is about seeking to do everything at the right speed. Now, that would mean that all our faculties need to come together when we are taking decisions. How rational is that decision? So savoring the hours and the minutes rather than just counting them. So doing everything as well as possible instead of as fast as possible. So it's all about the quality over quantity in everything from work to food to parenting. Now, Professor Gautam's Flowstart summarizes the slow movement philosophy by affirming that the only thing is certain is that everything changes. Now, the rate of changes increases. Now, if you want to hang on, and you better speed up. So that is the message for today. But it could, however, be useful to remind everyone that our basic needs never change. We add layers to that need. We inflate those needs. Those are not our basic needs. The need to be seen and appreciated. It is the need to belong, the need to be nearness and care. And so this is given only through slowness in human relations. So in order to master changes, we have to recover slowness, reflections, togetherness. So there we will find the real renewal. Now, this slow movement actually advocates a seismic cultural shift towards slowing down life pace. If you talk about the spiritual leaders of contemporary slow sensibility, as I mentioned to him, the Carlo Petrini, the photo that you see on the slide, he's your man, the poster boy. He was an anti-McDonald campaigner. He was a journalist. He organized a demonstration in the Rome Piazza di Spagna in 1986 when the McDonald planned to set up an outlet there. Now, this began to rise as a slow movement, which advances, if you know the Ruskinian principles about the advantages of taking care and trouble about everyday things. Petrini has described his philosophy, which mixes passion with fastidiousness. And he says only two things he says are necessary to the continuation of human life. He says food and sex. Now, each is best done slowly. Petrini first came to prominence in 1980s for taking part of this campaign against the fast food McDonald's. And it certainly has slowed down McDonald's, the way it was expanding in Italy. And in 1983, he even helped to create and develop the Italian non-food profit food and wine association known as ICGEEE. Now, he founded the Slow Food in 1986 and became the organization's president. Now, Petrini became the editor of multiple publications at the publishing house Slow Food Editor. And why this man is so important? Because the rest of the world actually followed him, whether the University of the Gastronomic Science, where a new gastronomist and innovators of the sustainable food systems who preside over the entire teaching and delivery. And aptly, he was chosen as 2004 as one of the Times Magazine Heroes of the Year. Now, over the years, this entire slow movement actually developed into a subculture in other areas. And if you like, the Sitacla organizations for slow cities, and the slow cities are everywhere now. So this slow epithet has subsequently been applied to a variety of activities and culture. So if you can go to this, let us stay with this slide because I'm going to, no, not really. You can come back. Yeah, let's stay on this slide. And now this entire thing about these slow, we think that this is an oxymoron. It's contradictory terms. Slow economy needs to be fast, need to be symbolize speed. And not really. If you see, the slow economy or the slow consumerism appears to be misnomer until we really interprets what each of these portmanteau or the compound words denote. So slow actually complements economy or consumerism. In order to understand this need, we need to know the speed myth. Now I'll go back to some of this Greek mythology if any of you are taking interest, and we must be familiar with Hermes, who is regarded as the fastest runner and the messenger of the gods, and someone who could cover unfathomable distance between the worlds of the mortal and the divine. And he was aided by his winged footwear. And it was customarily made by the god of the Hephaestus of the imperishable gold and the winged sandals that can fly as swift as any bird. And the Perseus borrowed Hermes' sandals to help him slay Medusa, that monsters of the Gorgons, who had these venomous snakes and the plaited hair. But please remember what it teaches this mythology is that, but it was not the speeding sandals with gold wings from the Hermes which killed Medusa, but Perseus slowed down to watch and allowing Medusa to reflect on the mirrored shield received from Athena, and then he struck the Hephaestus' sword wearing the head's cap of invincibility. What it says that he could not have been slaughtered or killed if this slowness would not have applied to this particular act. And similarly, if another act, if you see that in Atlanta, the same Greek mythology, we know the games of the Hera, now unsurpassed in speed and gloriously beautiful and dangerously skilled with the bow and arrow, Atlanta stars in two of the classical world's best stories. In one, she helps the Jason hunt and kill a giant boar. In the other, she races and beats every man who seeks her hand in the marriage until the guy who truly fancies lines up against her. And she actually vowed to marry the man who can beat her in the foot race. Now, it's a tough assignment because he is swift and fast. Those who outruns get put to the death. So then enters the Melanians, the thinking self, how he tamed the speeding Atlanta by dropping the golden apples received from the Aphrodite. So he picks up and he slows down. So what I mean to say is that making faster doesn't mean making them well. Speed is not synonymous with productivity. And of course, it is not synonymous with a meaningful life, which resonates with Plato's recounting of the Socrates' wise words. The unexamined life is not worth living. So you need to examine every time what we do on our conduct and our lives. So then there is something that if you look at one, the pointer is the two-speed economy or the two-speed world. Now a two-speed economy, and this particularly has a relevance, both have a relevance in the context of the slow movement and the slow economy, slow consumerism. A two-speed economy occurs when one sector of the industry or the business grows at much more rapid rate than the other. Now, often making the sluggish rate of the growth in a smaller sector. So the obsessive focus on the speed makes some economists recommend impetus or a stimulus package to certain sectors, as opposed to the idea of investing on any economic model that can positively affect wealth distribution. More job creations, economic opportunities, availability of credit, or the long sustainability of social and economic life. So the most basic model of the economy, if you understand, at least this capital economy you're talking about, is a circular flow. Now, someone gets a job or assignment in a gig economy who avails him an income, and the person spends a big chunk of that, of which he in turn empties the retail slaves, which then have to be replenished by making stuff. You understand that how it really goes around the same. Then You create employment, and the circle continues. So what it says is that today the economy is more like a mechanical watch. So some parts are fast, some are slow, some others with almost imperceptible movement. So unlike a watch, economies don't work well in that mode. Slower parts are not welcome and inevitably bog down the entire system. You have to understand this, how it really works. Now, the denotations of the speed, either fast or slow, is actually linked to a required momentum in economy or business. So this is very important. So somehow we pick them as the way they make us, they denote themselves or make us want to understand each of them. So it is like a breaknecking speed or a sloth-like movement. Like wealth, the speed doesn't always bode well, such as a Dutch disease, a shorthand way of describing the paradox which occurs when a good news arrives. So the Netherlands, for instance, has a snap discovery of a very large, in a place called Groningen natural gas field in 1959, when it began to tail off the manufacturing sector. The Dutch disease can manifest in multiple ways in the shape-shifting economy. So, for example, a rising currency value leading to a drop in export or a loss of jobs to other countries. Hence, both speed and slow need to be understood in their context. So if you really can go to our next slide now. Yeah, the speed is the myth, the myth speed is God, and let us know this paradox really well. Now, this is something that we need to really focus on and try to see that what it really means for us. Many of us believe that the adherence to the speed has led us on the path of continuous technological progress that has always managed to stay ahead of the consumption curve. But this is disproved by the Jevons paradox. Now, what is this paradox? Now, Jevons effect occurs when the technological progress or the government policy increases the efficiency with which a resource is used, now reducing the amount necessary for any one use. But the rate of consumption of that resource rises due to increasing demand. Now, this paradox came into currency in 1865 when the English economist William Jevons observed that the technological movements that increased the efficiency of the coal use led to the increased consumption of the coal in the wide range of industries. So he argued, contrary to common intuitions, technology progress could not be relied on to reduce the fuel consumptions.
3 minutes left, Professor Sarat Das, 3 minutes.
How many minutes I have, sorry?
3 minutes.
Okay, right. Okay, all right. We'll try to sort of run through then. So we all kind of in a technology singularity, and its profile is centered on accelerating progress on the technology changes in the mode of human life, which gives the appearance of approaching some essential singularity in the history of the race, beyond which human affairs, as we know, could not continue. Now, please note that this speed technological growth is actually hurtling us down the road of technological apocalypse, which is uncontrollable, irreversible, and resulting in unforeseeable changes in the human civilization. Now, I just would like to go to the next slide. I mean, I could have gone explaining that how the stimulus package to revive the economy cannot help, how the minimalist approach can need to be done. And if you know that how even companies like your iPhone is now doing a very planned obsolescence, what they're putting in your hand. So these all could have been a part of this slide, but let's go to the next one. And I really run through this very quick. Now, the slow economy, yeah. So if you see this, that how I think this one is, yeah. You see, the whole process of our slow induced economy can always work as a deterrent to this very self-destructive collective appetite for consumption. We have all guzzling a lot of energies, and this is where most of our problems were coming in from. How it is creating a supply disruptions that can causing the societal collapse. I could have, in this context, I could have talked about this Liebig's law of minimum. So, but primarily to sum it up, that we are actually living beyond our means, obscenely living beyond our means, both ecologically and economically. But if you can come to my penultimate slide, the slide just before the last slide, because I know I really have to run through. Come to the the last slide, please, so that I could skip a lot. Yeah. No, that's before that.
This one, yes.
Yeah, just before that. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is how I primarily to argue that what would be the economy of the tomorrow that needs to be shaped by this entire slow movement. And there are very complex theories within this, that entire idea of coupling and decoupling, which I probably could have taken a little more time to discuss. But possibly some other time, this book is going into print. And let's come to the slide after this. Yeah. So here I would like to sort of, this is my last slide. And I think that it has some of these big lessons going back to some of our ancient text, which we really cannot take our eyes off. And this says that if you talk about 1,000 years ago, the wandering monks in the Himalayas, they scripted this very green living and sustainability in their teaching and the elaborated author text. So they affirm the existence of samsara, a Sanskrit term for the material world, which they said feeds on prakriti, which is nature. So the well-being of the Mother Earth derives its preservation and sustenance from the environment. Hence, Prithvi, the world, must not be savagely exploited. And so, hence, there is one of the oldest Hindu scripture, the Atharva Veda, which says, "Wherever I dig from the O earth, may that have quick recovery again. O purifier, may we not injure the vitals or thy heart." So further, this year's ever, the world is the keeper of the creations, the container of the forest, trees and the herbs. So and of course the Rig Veda, which follows it up, where they says that do not harm the environment, do not harm the water, the flora, the earth is my mother. I am her son, and may the waters remain fresh and do not harm the waters. Tranquility to the atmosphere, to the earth, to the waters, to the crops and the vegetation. So all these yogis and the sages, they all were shown to lead this by example. They lived in a remote and
inaccessible. If you can conclude, Professor Dash.
This is villages in the life of extreme austerity and eating moderately, holding your strict penance. They did not wear your lycra fabric to cover their torsos or the men's regular fit polyester track pants for their lower half. So neither did they wear the jelly shoes made out of the plastic or the adult-sized plastic hat. So all they wore were bright, degradable clothes, either the saffron or the swan white vastras, the clothes, sacred thread made from the cotton hat. So this is what it is. So what it doesn't mean that you have to live like them, but somehow you have to understand that where all this entered, probably it's all entered with plastic in the 19th century, and which is becoming omnipresent. The Belgian chemist Leo Beckland, he must have meant it well. The alchemist who combined all the chemicals to produce plastic. Then few decades before, the steam engine had come into the life. But this is all about this. And then now we are left with a mess. We are counting on our carbon footprint and look at the slimy trail that we have created, becoming such consumers with ravenous appetite. So hence the last slide goes on reflecting on ourselves, and that's the last slide, and where I'm saying
thank you, Sarat Das. I think we have to stop here.
Thank you.